Hey, one and all, it's your pal Drew Dracy, 30-year comic book industry veteran and lifelong fanboy since the mid 70s. It's more comics for my spender rack. Long overdue episode. It's been away a while. I mean, I just picked these both up at the same time for like $2 each. I thought, well, they look like fun. I like the Metal Men. They're a hard sell as a solo act. I mean, they had they had almost 10 issues in 1976 or so, but so did everybody else. That's when it was the old flood the shelves thing. But they're cool. I've always liked them. They're quirky. I've always felt the Metal Men, like just by themselves, I think it'd be really cool is if they were in a team, part of the Doom Patrol, and have Metamorpho and get all these freakish type, teams and individuals together and make a really wild group, like the Legion of Disturbing Heroes. So this is before Crisis on Infinite Earths. It is from 1984. Nice cover by, I think it's Alex Saviuk. Whoop. Yeah, Saviuk and Giordano. And beauty. So, we're still for some guy kidnapping a woman because a cop is trying to stop him from jumping off a bridge. But the Metal Men are there to save him. Paul Kupperberg, longtime DC writer in this era. Alex Saviuk, who's been he did a lot of issues of Web of Spider-Man, I think it was, in the 90s. They were exceptional. Tony DiZuniga as an anchor really puzzles me because it's not a good fit. Especially because these are small characters. It's better to have DiZuniga on a character like Jonah Hex, a singular character, or Conan, or just other characters. So you don't really see much evidence of Tony DiZuniga. I mean, I'm not doubting he didn't put it in there, but he's, it's just one of those sort of trace jobs because there's a lot of tiny details. So these guys are fun. You got Iron, you got the Silver Gal is Tina. She's Platinum. The red guy is Mercury. Gold guy is Gold. And the gray guy is Lead. And he's kind of slow. He's kind of dopey. In fact, this book, wow, man, when I picked this up, it was the first time I picked up Swamp Thing ever. Oh, so cool. So, meanwhile, there's a cave where this guy's trying to get control of the Metal Men, and it's never really made sense why. I guess he wants to rule the world through the Metal Men, that old song. So, but really nice artwork, really solid. Tina tends to turn to a coil more often than not. That seems to be her favorite shape, I guess. So let's get on the ball literally. Not too much friction there, duh. I don't want to melt before I can hit it because the temperature is way up and lead is melting. And supposedly I don't know, they say lead melts faster than all these other forms, and I didn't know that. So Gold, Tangle, and Tin, who is the stuttering little guy, he manages to hold back this lizard creature. Although I didn't know Tin was that strong, because those creatures are all sinewy. So little token page for the establishment of Clark Kent being a reporter, but he's on TV now. So the X-Men, the Metal Men are going through a series of environmental tests to see how they hold up, and they're freezing. Platinum goes around. What is it? Let me see. Tin and Mercury, and the other guys form they reflect the sun, warm them up. There's lead all melty. Yeah, let me see. I gotta find it real quick. Yeah, I mean, there is a red sun. Talk about out of the fire, out of the frying pan. You mean into the frying pan? Our unseen hosts exchange snow for heat. That's duh. That's especially bad for me. With a melting point of 327.5 Celsius. And like I said, I didn't know lead was so vulnerable. So, and Superman's powers are weakened because of this red sun. But a lot of it, they make it out to be illusion or something. It really, it's almost comics. You just go along with it like it was a Silver Age book. You know, you just kind of don't dwell on the realistic stuff like here comes cockroaches. But it's still a fun read. It's especially, let's see. I just like seeing different team-ups. Blue Devil, that was fun for 2 years, I think it lasted. Then they made him Satanic, and they put him Justice League America, and I inked some of the early issues I've ever inked for DC was with Blue Devil, with his Satanic makeover. So, and Tina is like always flirting. It's so weird. But there we go, a couple years ahead from 84, from June 84 to July of 87, 3 years later, and Superman gets to reboot with John Byrne at the helm and Mike Carlin keeping everything together, and they brought Superman back from being just a basic character. They rebooted him. It was a very hard reboot to be. I hate that term, soft reboot. That always sounds weird and non-committal. But it's good stuff. Dick Giordano in the inks. He's the best. And there it is. Mike Carlin. John Costanza, great letterer. He's lettered some of the stuff I've done for DC. And Clark ends up with this radioactive goo. And he's doing fine. This is flashback to Negative Woman. Let me see. Oh, here we go. What could possibly be in there? The question for which Clark Kent may never find a complete answer. Weeks ago, on a parallel Earth which no longer exists, Chemo is taken down by Negative Woman and shattered, but his gloppy glueness managed to stick around. Poison the seas of that lost other Earth, which means the only Earth that post-Christ on Infinite Earths. The menace of the Chemo had been gone for all time, but in the terrible crisis which beset all the Infinite Earths, there became a great merging. And once there had been many worlds, as there might have been be minds to examine them, and now there remained but one. I'm not going to reread that. It's kind of an awkward read, but so these little potato skins are kind of floating around, thanks to Clark Kent's DNA getting involved with the chemicals. So Platinum's talking to Doc Magnus, and he's acting like a real a-hole, uncharacteristically. And they're just messing around, trying to hone their powers and combine them, which is always a cool thing. I've always liked that. Longbow Hunters. The only thing I hate about the Longbow Hunters is you have Black Canary in there, and in the second or third issue, she is like the typical damsel in distress. She's all cut up and bound, and he comes on like, a macho man saves the day. And it's beautifully written and drawn, but Black Canary is so... that wouldn't happen. I know he's going for realism. I like a lot of Mike Groh. I have all the John Sable. I have a lot of the Warlord stuff that he's done. But I just hated it. This powerful member of the Justice League just turned into like damsel in distress. So that's my 2 cents. Love that. Love it, love it, love it. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. It's kind of... Although I like that. Whee! and then they become a giant. I like how, it's so cute how they're falling. Number 21, we need a combined might against him. I hate this formation. Almost a complete waste of my unique qualities. Quit griping, Mercury. Take on Super Camo. And like a dick, here comes Mercury, escapes, and it causes the giant amalgamation to fall. But they get, let me see, blocking radiation is what I do best. And that's what 10 does. Ooh, splash. Love those hatch lines by Giordano. And also Giordano adds a little extra life to Byrne's faces. His faces are great, but they're sometimes a bit cartoony. Which is okay. I have so much of John Byrne stuff already. And Doc Magnus is being an asshole again. But here's the weird thing. It says, curious, confused, the dark secrets of Sub-Level 9 and the fate of the Metalmen will be revealed. Keep your eyes peeled for future Metalmen announcements. So that's kind of odd. So that's the kind of comic you would see at the end of a Bronze Age book in the 70s. So, Whisper. Got this out of the $2 box. This cover is by Michael Golden, and it is stunning. Stunning, stunning, stunning. However, I gotta brace you. The art inside is not good. However, it does tell the story. I mean, if you have like art that isn't really that good, but you could tell a story, that's a good stepping stone, because it's better than someone who can't tell a story and has flashy art. And we saw a lot of that in the Image years in the early 90s. So I'm going to start off with, whoa, sneak peek there. This splash page here, or this, I don't know if it's a frontispiece or whatever, this would make a great cover, you know, by itself. I just love that. Love that pose. The art is by Rich Larson, who was one half of Faster and Larson, and those two guys did a couple color portfolios for Marvel. They did 4 Hulk ones. They did Hulk versus the Thing. They were about, 11 by 17 maybe. Hulk versus Abomination, and then they did 4 plates, they call them, but they're really just prints of John Byrne's X-Men over his pencils. So, you know, Rich Larson is one half, and I get the impression he's the finisher, because it's always Faster in Larson. And here we go. Very amateurish, and I hate saying that. I don't mean to dredge up 40-year-old stuff, but this was the first issue. You spent all your money on a Michael Golden cover. And Stephen Grant is a great writer, but this is like stuff for portfolios. However, I mean, like somebody trying to break in and making a portfolio. The one thing, though, the storytelling is really strong. You have no question what's going on, and that's a problem with a lot of new artists. So I love that costume. But see what I'm saying here? It's a damn shame. Now later on, yeah, see, she's driving, but it's just not that exciting. Later on, what is it? Vince Giarano, who did also. He did Haywire, 13-issue series, came out in 1988, and he took over. He also did some Batman-related book, and it was 10 times better. And I don't know when he came in. So, oh boy. But, I mean, you also had Nexus, which had Mike Barrett and Steve Rude. You got Star Slayer, where it's a Mike Grell place, joint, as they say, with Timothy Truman and John Ostrander. That's just amazing. And then you had The Badger by, at the time, Mike Barron and Steve Butler, who stayed on for a few issues before Bill Reinhold took over. So real letdown when I bought this. So you can't judge a book by its cover, I guess. Ex-Mutants. This is 1993. Malibu's They had Ex-Mutants in the late 80s with it was with Ron Lim, and it was pretty good. It was Ron Lim's earliest stuff, and then they relaunched it after Image. After Malibu published Image the first year and made a ton of money, which is amazing because with the deal with Malibu, the Image boys got 90% of the profits, and there was so much money that Malibu could publish more superheroes and full color books. I just can't imagine how much money was there. And so here's a young Paul Pelletier who, at this point, he's already full-time pro. I think in like less than a year, he ends up doing stuff for DC. And I actually inked him on like a couple of pieces in 1995, I think it was, it was like for a pinup for Legion of Superheroes Secret Files. And then there was one where he also did a pinup in issue 100 of Legion of Superheroes, and I loved his stuff. Then he did The Flash for a long time, and then he moved on to CrossGen and did a book called The Negation, which was fantastic. He just his abilities grew and grew, and then he went over to Marvel for a while and did some really great stuff. And I don't know what he's doing now, but he's just one of the... He has a Byrne influence, John Byrne influence. I mean, John's influenced a billion people. But I really found myself enjoying this. So... And Paul should have got to do a run on the Hulk. I think that would have been really cool. He did, however, when Ed McGuinness was doing Superman after they got rid of the Dan Jurgens group from the 90s that was so successful, and I love those guys. Then they gave Ed McGuinness issue of Superman, the book of Superman, which I didn't like because everybody, like Superman, he at the time, McGuinness could only draw one kind of figure. It was like this big, super muscular figure, roly-poly kind of muscles, exaggerated. And I like it on the Hulk, but he did it on Superman, and it just made Superman look like a doof, like a parody. And also, Perry White was big as a house. I mean, he was... all the guys had these super huge bodies, and all the women had these, zoftig, very plump appearance. I mean plump in like the most cheesecake of ways. And that was his one style at the time. It just made me nuts. But, I mean... I get it, but it got repetitious after a while. But there were a few issues of that where Paul filled in on some pages to help meet the deadline and did the lion's share of it. And Paul could imitate McGuinness's style really well. And Paul also did a good job helping out, I think, on Green Lantern in the late 90s over with Darryl Banks. So he just has this clean style, really great grasp of storytelling and environments around the characters. Coloring is really sweet too. Sweet! There's Night Mask, not to be confused with the New Universe version of Night Mask. But that's kind of nifty. I don't know who did the art though. It's not great, but it's very good. Raver, Walter Koenig, from who was Chekhov. Star Trek's Walter Koenig's first color comic, and boy does it look exciting. So, this was at the time, early 90s, where everybody was attaching their name to books. You had William Shatner, there's some comics based on his stuff, Tech World, and then you had Leonard Nimoy's Primordials, and there's no evidence of Leonard Nimoy at all. He might have just written like a paragraph, or maybe wrote like a page or two. So it doesn't really show up. It's just that people were like, "Oh wow, celebrity! Let's get them in these comics." Let's put their names on. Clive Barker was responsible for several issues in the Barkerverse, and they were questionable quality. He would come and go, and it was just crazy. People were just getting names and attaching them, and the projects probably weren't even thought of till well after the ink was dry on the contracts. So, really means, I mean, come on, look at that. He should have been on the Hulk for a while. Okay, and finally, Web of Spider-Man number 24. 25? Yeah, 25. It is written and drawn by Larry Lieber, Stan Lee's brother, who seems to be a mysterious figure. He doesn't really... Nobody knows much about him. I think he's done a few interviews, but it's just amazing because it's such a contrast to Stan, who was like the perfect impresario. But Lee, his brother Larry, has basically kept in the shadows. He did a lot of Silver Age stuff. I mean, he did a couple of Spider-Man annuals that were really good, and he did a Doctor Doom, Marvel Superheroes number 20, and he did a lot of other stuff here and there. And then the 70s, I don't remember exactly what he did, but he did start off the Incredible Hulk newspaper strip, which started shortly after the TV show, and he was copping a Kirby style, and I loved it, but he left after about a year or so. So he, I can't remember. Oh, then he later on went on to do the Spider-Man comic strip, which runs to this day. It just, you can't find it anywhere. It's in Cliff Bigger's Comic Shop News weekly flyer that go into comic shops, but it's Cliff Bigger sold Comic Shop News to a new owner. So that's where you'll see the Spider-Man newspaper strip, because adventure newspaper strips are pretty much gone. They want funny. They want, like, I don't know, not even that funny. So he wrote it and drew it, and it's actually not bad. I like the opening though. He goes, "The lust for power, like acne, the cockroach, and other fun things, has been with us forever." So it's a trade-off. This alien is going to give this alien this super weapon, and so they can pillage other planets and get wealthy, and then he gets a piece of the action. So that's the basic plot there at the beginning. And there's one peace-loving character of the race that is going to pilfer other planets. So there's this. It's really not that riveting. It's like there's this guy who's like a purse snatcher and he's a creep, and Spider-Man catches up on him because he stole Aunt May's brooch that was given to her by Uncle Ben. And there's this weird gizmo that the creep that was stopped by Spider-Man had, and Spider-Man took it home, and it's glowing, and he ends up in space. I like that pose there because it's like it's funny. It's like his head is immediately attached to his clavicle, and it's just a silly thing. But overall, Vince Coletta is inking this, and I have to say Vince is probably doing a good job on it because Larry's, his 60s stuff was stronger, but by this time his stuff wasn't that strong. So I think him and Coletta made a decent team. It's a boring looking book, but it's still solid. It's not awful. So there's more to this, but it's just. I like that pose there where the guy's falling. It's nice. But it's too much to get into. It was a bit of a chore to read, but I read it. I read the whole thing. Michael Golden. He only did, half a year or something like that? That was a drag. So, that's it. You got your Spider-Man, you got your Ex-Mutants, you got your Whisper. Action Comics. Even with Byrne at the helm and Mike Carlin at the helm editing, Action Comics wasn't working as a team-up book. Not like, the Superman Presents lasted a long time, but people are funny about rotating characters. Like, if it's a good enough group, if it's Superman every issue, and he's teaming up with Big Barda and Mr. Miracle and all that, I like it, but some people will only buy characters they like. But if you have the same creative team, to me, I've said this before about Marvel 2-in-1, that I loved it with the Thing, and he was the main character, and he would team up with other characters. And so you have Superman in every issue, the biggest gun of all, and, having other characters from the DC universe is a bonus. It's like you're getting twice the hero, twice the fun, but I don't know. Fun was starting to fade out in the late 80s, but yeah, Carlin did, what is it? He did from 1987 till 1999. He edited the Superman books before he went into the animation department of Warner Brothers. And I got to work for him, and really, really, really good guy. So, like, major league professional. And that's it. So, blah, blah, blah. Me, blah, blah. All right, everybody, let me know what you think. Did you buy any of these books? Did you like them? What did you think? Were you into indies that much? Did you hate the reboot of Superman, or did you not pick up Superman until the reboot? And, what do you say about that? That's a one-off. That's all. So tell me in the comments below. I welcome all comments, and I will catch you later. Bye.